When the world feels heavy and people turn away, remember that walking alone does not mean being lonely. The one who created you never leaves you. Sometimes solitude with faith is the greatest blessing, because in that silence you hear the whispers of your heart connecting with Allah. Every step you take in His name becomes light upon light, guidance upon guidance. Walking alone with faith is not weakness, it is courage, because you know that the one who controls the heavens and the earth is walking with you. There are 8 powerful keys that will teach you how to walk alone with faith, trusting Allah and finding strength in every step. If you truly want peace in your heart and guidance in your journey, then don't miss even one of these points, because each one can transform the way you look at life. Number 1, trust the unseen hand of Allah. Trust is the foundation of faith, and when you walk alone with Allah in your heart, you learn to rely on what cannot be seen, but can always be felt. Many times life will place you in situations where the road ahead looks blurred, where your plans crumble, and where nothing seems certain. At that very moment, faith whispers that certainty does not come from the path you see, but from the one who created that path. Trusting the unseen hand of Allah means surrendering your fears and doubts, believing that every twist in your journey has a purpose, even if you do not understand it today. It means accepting that the unseen is not empty, but filled with wisdom, mercy, and divine timing. When you take a step without knowing what lies ahead, but your heart says, Allah is with me, that step becomes powerful. It becomes an act of worship, because you are handing over control to the one who never fails. Think of the stories of those before us, when they stood at the edge of impossibility, like when the sea split for the believers, or when provision appeared from where no one could imagine. These were not accidents, they were moments where trust in Allah turned the impossible into reality. Walking alone with faith allows you to taste this truth in your own life. Trusting the unseen hand of Allah also means believing in His promises. When He says that patience leads to reward, you trust it even when waiting feels endless. When He says that every hardship is followed by ease, you hold on to it even if ease is nowhere in sight. The unseen hand is working behind the curtain of your life, arranging, protecting, and guiding in ways you may never fully comprehend. Sometimes you may wonder why doors close, why people leave, or why difficulties surround you. Trust reminds you that what Allah withholds was never meant for you, and what He gives will arrive at the perfect time. The unseen hand is not just guiding you forward, but also protecting you from harm that you cannot see. Every no, every delay, every change is part of a design that only Allah knows. This realization turns loneliness into companionship and uncertainty into peace, because you no longer depend on what you can see, but on the one who sees everything. Number 2, silence can be a form of worship. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, but in reality, silence can become one of the most powerful forms of worship when the heart is connected to Allah. Walking alone with faith gives you the chance to experience this unique form of ibadah, where your tongue may be still, but your heart is alive with remembrance. In the quietness, you are free from the distractions of the world, free from the noise of people's opinions, and free from the constant chatter that pulls your soul in many directions. It is in this silence that you find the space to breathe deeply, to think clearly, and to allow your heart to whisper the words of dhikr. When no one is around to listen, Allah is always listening. Allah is always listening. Your silence becomes filled with unspoken prayers, with the tears that roll down unnoticed, and with the gratitude that flows silently through your chest. Sometimes words fail to describe the depth of what you feel, but in that wordless state, Allah understands every emotion. This is why silence, when combined with faith, becomes worship, because you are communicating with the one who does not need words to know what you mean. Walking alone also gives you the opportunity to transform silence into reflection. Reflecting on your life, your mistakes, your blessings, and your purpose is an act of worship in itself. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged moments of contemplation, for one moment of sincere reflection can be more valuable than endless empty speech. In silence, you begin to recognize the signs of Allah around you, the beauty of the sky, the strength within your own heart, the countless mercies you take for granted. Each of these realizations becomes a step closer to Him. Silence is also a shield. Many people fall into sins of the tongue, gossip, lies, arguments, or unnecessary speech. But when you embrace silence with faith, you protect yourself from these traps. Your quietness becomes a guard over your deeds, preserving your reward and shielding you from regret. In fact, silence often brings dignity to the believer because it shows wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to refrain. So the moments when you walk alone, with nothing but silence around you, are not moments of emptiness, but moments of filling your heart with light. That silence paired with faith turns into worship that lifts you higher, even when no one else can see the elevation happening within you. Number 3, every step with faith is rewarded. Every single step you take while holding firmly to faith carries weight with Allah, even if the world does not notice it. Faith transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary deeds, because what matters most is not the size of the action, but the sincerity of the heart behind it. When you walk alone with faith, every effort, every movement, and every struggle is recorded by the angels as an act of devotion. The journey of a believer is never wasted, because Allah values the intention and the perseverance more than the outcome itself. Sometimes you may feel that your steps are too small, that your patience is too weak, or that your prayers are too simple. Yet in the sight of Allah, those very efforts may outweigh mountains, because they were taken in moments of difficulty, in times of uncertainty, or when your heart was battling despair. Even when no one claps for you, no one praises you, and no one sees the sacrifices you make, Allah is counting every single step. Faith ensures that nothing is lost, not a tear, not a prayer, not a sigh of hope whispered in the darkness. Walking alone with faith also means you transform the way you see life's struggles. Each challenge becomes an opportunity for reward, each delay becomes a moment to show patience, and each disappointment becomes a chance to strengthen reliance on Allah. The believer knows that even holding back from complaining is recorded as an act of gratitude. The steps that seem invisible to the world shine brightly in the sight of the Almighty. Think of a traveler on a long road, tired, thirsty, and weighed down by the journey. Every step feels heavy, but the traveler continues because he knows that every step brings him closer to his destination. This is the reality of a believer's life. The journey may feel exhausting, but every step is rewarded, every effort is acknowledged, and every hardship is compensated. The scales on the day of judgment will show how valuable those hidden steps were. So when you walk alone with faith, remember that you are not just moving through life, you are earning reward with each moment. Every step becomes a witness for you, every moment of patience becomes a crown on your head, and every silent struggle becomes a treasure waiting for you in the hereafter. Number 4, detachment brings clarity. Detachment is not about abandoning life or rejecting people. It is about freeing your heart from dependence on anything other than Allah. When you walk alone with faith, you begin to see the wisdom of stepping back from the noise of the world. Too often, attachments to people, possessions, or status cloud your vision, making it difficult to distinguish between what truly matters and what is fleeting. Detachment brings clarity because it allows you to evaluate your life with honesty, asking yourself, what am I chasing, and is it really worth my heart? Walking alone often forces you to detach, because you realize that not everyone can travel the same path with you. Some people leave, some relationships fade, and some doors close unexpectedly. At first, this feels like loss, but soon you discover it is actually a gift. When the distractions are removed, you gain the space to see reality for what it is. You realize that your worth is not defined by who stands beside you, but by how firmly you stand with Allah. Detachment gives you the ability to prioritize your faith above all else, to recognize which connections elevate you and which ones pull you away from your purpose. Clarity also comes when you detach from the illusion of control. Many times people become consumed by their plans, their desires, and their efforts to control outcomes. But life has a way of breaking those illusions, teaching you that ultimate control belongs only to Allah. Detachment teaches you to let go of what is beyond your power and to focus instead on what is within your responsibility, your intentions, your actions, your sincerity. This perspective brings peace, because you stop fighting battles you cannot win and start investing in the steps that truly matter. In the stillness of detachment, your heart becomes lighter. You begin to notice the blessings you once overlooked, the guidance that was always around you, and the signs of Allah that were hidden beneath the clutter of worldly attachments. Clarity does not come from having more, but from needing less. And when you need less from people and the world, you find yourself needing more of Allah, and that is the purest form of freedom. Detachment does not mean isolation, it means clarity. The clarity to see that the only lasting anchor in life is your connection with Allah. Number 5, challenges shape the believer. Challenges are not meant to break the believer, they are designed to shape and refine the soul. When you walk alone with faith, you begin to understand that hardships are not signs of abandonment, but signs of Allah's attention. Just as gold is purified through fire, the believer is purified through trials. Every difficulty you encounter is a tool through which Allah strengthens your patience, deepens your reliance, and polishes your character. Without challenges, faith would remain untested, and without tests, growth would remain incomplete. The beauty of walking alone with faith is that you learn to embrace challenges as part of your journey. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you begin to see them as stepping stones. A challenge is not there to stop you, it is there to teach you resilience. A setback is not meant to end your journey. It is meant to redirect you towards something greater. When you trust Allah, you know that even the hardest trials are not random, they are precisely measured, tailored to your strength, and filled with wisdom that will only be understood later. Consider how seeds must break before they grow into trees, or how muscles tear before they become stronger. In the same way, the believer's heart must endure pressure before it can expand with faith. Challenges strip away arrogance, teach humility, and remind you of your dependence on Allah. They soften your heart towards others who suffer, making you more compassionate and empathetic. In this way, every difficulty is both a test and a gift. Challenges also reveal your true relationship with Allah. When life is easy, it is simple to say you trust Him. But when everything feels uncertain and painful, your actions show the depth of your faith? Do you turn to Allah in prayer, or do you drown in despair? Do you hold firmly to patience, or do you let anger consume you? Each response is part of your shaping, because challenges carve out the believer who walks closer to Allah with every struggle endured. Walking alone often intensifies the weight of challenges, but it also magnifies their impact. Without people to lean on, you discover that your ultimate support comes from Allah alone. And when you survive what once felt impossible, you realize that every trial was not a punishment, but a preparation for the person you were meant to become. You said, number 6, the Qur'an becomes your companion. When you walk alone with faith, there is no companion more loyal, comforting, and uplifting than the Qur'an. People may leave, friends may abandon, and loved ones may not always understand what your heart is going through, but the Qur'an never turns away. It speaks to you in moments of despair, it strengthens you in times of weakness, and it guides you when you feel lost. The verses are not just words on pages, they are living reminders that Allah is near, that His mercy is vast, and that His guidance is timeless. Opening the Quran while walking alone in your journey is like opening a door to companionship with Allah Himself. Every verse you recite, every ayah you ponder becomes a source of light in your darkness. Sometimes you may feel that a particular verse is speaking directly to you, addressing your exact pain or answering your exact question. That is the miracle of the Quran. It is not limited to a time, place, or people. It is relevant to every believer in every circumstance. When the world is silent, the Quran speaks, and when the world is loud, the Quran silences everything with its truth. The Quran is not just a companion for the mind, but also for the heart. It heals wounds that cannot be seen. It soothes fears that cannot be spoken, and it fills emptiness that cannot be explained. Allah calls it a cure and a mercy, and the believer who clings to it in solitude experiences that cure firsthand. Walking alone with the Quran in your heart makes you realize you are never truly alone. You are in the company of divine words that uplift you, protect you, and remind you of your purpose. The Quran also becomes a guide showing you how to navigate challenges and how to respond to life's trials. It gives you stories of prophets who endured loneliness, betrayal, and hardship, yet remained firm in their faith. Their stories remind you that your journey is part of a greater pattern, and that patience, trust, and perseverance always lead to victory. The Quran becomes not just a book you recite, but a companion that walks with you, shapes your decisions, and strengthens your steps. So when you walk alone, carrying the Quran in your heart, you are in the best of company. Its words echo in your mind, its lessons shape your path, and its promises fuel your hope, making every step of your solitude a step closer to Allah. Number 7, tawakkul turns fear into peace. Fear is one of the heaviest burdens that settles in the heart when walking alone. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of tomorrow, fear of being left behind. These shadows can follow a person and weigh them down. But when tawakkul, true reliance on Allah, takes root in the heart, fear begins to transform into peace. Tawakkul does not mean abandoning effort. It means tying your camel, doing your part, and then placing complete trust in the one who controls every outcome. It is the art of surrendering to Allah's plan while still moving forward with courage. When you walk alone, fear often whispers louder because there are fewer people to reassure you. Yet, this solitude creates the perfect environment for tawakkul to blossom. You learn that reassurance from people is temporary, but reassurance from Allah is eternal. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but tawakkul thrives in the same space, because uncertainty is where faith proves itself. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know who holds tomorrow, and that realization is what brings peace. Tawakkul also changes the way you view difficulties. Instead of seeing them as threats, you begin to see them as opportunities to witness Allah's help. Every challenge becomes a stage where Allah's mercy, wisdom and power can unfold. This mindset replaces panic with patience and worry with hope. Even when things seem to go against your wishes, tawakkul reminds you that Allah's plan is better, even if it takes time for you to understand. Consider how a child rests peacefully in the arms of a parent, trusting fully that they are safe. This is the essence of tawakkul, resting your heart in Allah's care, knowing that He will never abandon you. This trust shields the believer from despair and fills the heart with tranquility. The waves of fear may rise around you, but they cannot drown you, because tawakkul is your lifeboat. With tawakkul, you no longer walk trembling through life. You walk with serenity. You stop obsessing over what you cannot control and instead focus on your connection with the controller of all things. Fear slowly loses its grip, replaced by the calm assurance that whatever happens will unfold with wisdom, and that no decree of Allah is ever void of goodness for the believer. Number 8. Walking alone with faith leads to ultimate companionship. One of the most comforting truths about walking alone with faith is that it is never truly a journey of loneliness. What may appear solitude in this world is actually the beginning of companionship that extends beyond time, beyond people, and beyond this temporary life. Every believer who holds tightly to faith, even when no one else stands beside them, is building a bond with Allah that will blossom into everlasting companionship in the hereafter. This path of solitude is not abandonment, it is preparation for an eternal welcome. Walking alone with faith shapes your heart to long for the company of Allah and His angels rather than the fleeting approval of people. While the world may misunderstand you or even leave you, Allah surrounds you with unseen company that supports you in silence. The angels record your steps, your patience, and your sacrifices, and they become your companions in ways you may never realize in this life. When your heart feels heavy, remember that you are never unseen. Every tear is witnessed, every prayer is heard, and every lonely moment is honored by the Almighty. This journey also connects you to a greater family, the family of the righteous who walked similar paths before you. Prophets, scholars, and sincere believers throughout history have walked alone in faith, standing firm even when their communities rejected them. Their stories remind you that solitude in faith is not a punishment, but a badge of honor. You are part of a chain that stretches across generations, bound together by the shared conviction that Allah is enough. The ultimate companionship promised to those who walk alone with faith is in paradise. In that eternal home, no one will ever feel isolated, unloved, or abandoned. Instead, believers will be surrounded by the company of angels, prophets, and the righteous, enjoying peace that never ends. Every moment of solitude in this world will be replaced with joy, every tear with laughter, every trial with endless reward. This companionship is not temporary but eternal, not fragile but everlasting. So the believer who walks alone today is in reality walking towards the warmest embrace of all. What feels like loneliness in this dunya is the beginning of eternal companionship with Allah, His angels, and the righteous in Jannah, where no soul will ever feel alone again.